Hello. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Franklin, and I'm a young adult working in Philly. I've been with GCC for a while. I wasn't always part of the Christian community. Because of that, getting baptized actually means a lot, and it took me a while to get here for some selfish reasons, but I thought I shouldn't put it off anymore. So here I am, standing before you as a Christian. But honestly, in the beginning, I struggled hard to believe. I grew up in a non-Christian household, and it wasn't until sophomore year in college that I really noticed God. Before that, I was a stereotypical good student, but also a troublemaker outside of school. Yes, I got decent grades, but it wasn't enough, and I wanted more. So I filled that void by skipping school, got into fights, abusing drugs, even got addicted to gambling. Before I was 18, I was probably more drunk than most people are in college. I was no angel. I even had one or two friends nickname me the Antichrist. And all for what? Because I was some cocky kid who thought he knew it all. I measured myself through all my achievements, be it a good grade, getting the most beer, or throwing the best parties. I did all kinds of wrong, but I never got caught. And all this success just fueled my ego and my growing God complex. I thought I ruled my life and I determined my fate. I was infallible, I was invincible, I was incorrigible. As for God, I believe science had the answer for everything. There's no need for gods. Anyone who believed in a higher power was either ignorant or uneducated. And I fought tooth and nail with anyone who wanted to prove me wrong. I would even go so far as to attend services to mock a sermon in front of my pious friends. At the end of the day, though, I knew it was a farce. For all my bravado, my self-confidence was just an outer shell for someone who was lost and empty. From the looks of it, college wouldn't change anything either, as I went on with my bad self my freshman year. But of course, God had a different plan for me. Knowing I'm stubborn, God got right in my face. And I thought experiencing God was reserved for people who prayed or for the holiest of holy people. But I can attest that God meets with people, even when they aren't expecting it. I'll never forget the first time I met with God. Somehow, I was at a church. And it wasn't for a spiritual reason. It wasn't for Friends and Family Day. I was simply escorting a friend. She wanted to visit a branch of her home church, the Salvation Army, which is at 55th and Market. And that's West Philly. And you can tell from my size and the way I look, she thought I could protect her. But seriously, I mean, that's why I was there. But I was there singing hymns for no reason other than that. And that's when God came to me. Imagine standing in the water at the beach, facing the shore, when all of a sudden a wave just hits you from behind. That was my experience with God. He just crashed into me. He enveloped me. He hugged me in a way that no one else could besides God. I couldn't escape. God was real. The problem was that I was still stupid and in denial. God revealed himself to me, but I still wasn't saved. In going to church, I felt even less like a Christian. If the congregation is a flock, I thought I was a black sheep of the group. Looking around, I saw people who had grown up in Christian households, pastors' kids, just generally people who were good to the bone. And here I was, some rough kid with a chip on his shoulder. Compared to everyone else, I saw a huge gap between them and me. I was different. I couldn't help but think about how I got chosen. What did I do to deserve to be saved? How did God make this mistake? In every way, I was less than everyone else, and I couldn't reconcile the differences I made in my head. I felt alone in my faith. Who at this church could relate to my past or struggle with the same things I did? To me, I was the only one that had these problems. And I also refused to share because I didn't want to be judged or thought of as a half-Christian or whatever it may be. So life became this juggling act of balancing my duties outside the church and living a Christian life. It was hard, but maybe if I attended Sunday service enough, if I went to Bible study every week, if I went to Friday large group, or if I prayed hard enough, if I just racked up enough points, then maybe I could catch up to everyone else. It was a wrong heart to have, but I thought I could replace my past all on my own, that I would then truly be Christian. But that's not how God works, and that's not how Christianity works. And even though I was blind to that, God let my roommate know I was struggling. And in one of those nights where two guys are just lying in their beds, staring at the ceiling, we had this intimate conversation. And he really spoke to me, because he's a pastor's kid. This guy that I held on such a high pedestal above me. And he told me that there's no one below me, that there was no one above me, and that in the eyes of God, I was exactly the same as him. For God does not show favoritism. Romans 12. Coming from my friend, this guy who's a pastor's kid, that meant a lot to me. There's no way I or anyone else can understand God's plan, but there was a reason why God revealed himself to me, and he changed my world. And he made it easy to be saved. I just had to believe in Jesus with all my heart. I just had to confess, and I'd be saved. It didn't matter what I did in my yesteryears or the mistakes waiting for me in the future, and more importantly, what other people were doing. God is personal and an intimate God, and he was focusing on me. I just needed to recognize it. So let me end with a parable from the Bible, Matthew 18, 10 through 14. See that you do not look down on one of these little ones. For I tell you that their angels in heaven always see the face of my Father in heaven. The Son of Man came to save what was lost. What do you think? If a man owns 100 sheep and one of them wanders away, will he not leave the 99 on the hills and go to look for that one that wandered off? And if he finds it, I tell you the truth, he's happier about that one sheep than about the 99 that did not wander off. In the same way, your Father in heaven is not willing that any of these little ones should be lost. So I don't know how many of you are lost or felt like you don't belong. But I know that I once was. And even though it was hard for me, I eventually learned that my shepherd was never far away. Even if my coat was dirty, it's not about my works or my achievements, but my belief and my faith. God loves me, and he loves you. And I was surprised to know that. But that made a huge difference in my life and defined my walk. It's been a tough road between living as a boy of this world and as a child of God. But I know I've become and will continue to be a man of faith.